Well, just when Canada's rail shutdown appeared to be over, it got far more complicated. A scramble is underway to try to mitigate the fallout from a work stoppage that's poised to expand yet again. Tanya Fletcher joins us now with the latest on this story. Tanya, take us through today's developments. Where does the labor dispute stand right now?
Well, Michelle, 24 hours ago, the headline was federal government orders binding arbitration. Now the headline is rail employees poised to strike. And this comes just a day after the federal Labor Minister announced it would be stepping in by sending the dispute into binding arbitration. This morning, just hours after some trains had started rolling again, the union served 72-hour strike notice. Here's the president of Teamsters Canada.
Strike continue as far as we are concerned. We notified the CN and CP of a strike notice, and we will use our constitutional right to fight this the company here.
Now, if all of this seems a bit deja vu, you only have to look back to earlier this summer. That's when you might remember WestJet and its mechanics were involved in a labor dispute. The feds also sent that to binding arbitration, but a day later in that case, workers also initiated strike action anyway. Their lawyers had combed through the wording in the document and said the language didn't explicitly ban further job action, meaning no legal requirement preventing them from striking. So they did. Now, yesterday, the federal minister was asked how he could be so sure that wouldn't happen again in this case. He would really only say he was confident in the process. Michelle.
We understand marathon talks between all sides have just wrapped up, and now they're awaiting a decision.
Yeah, that's right. Just this past hour, Teamsters Canada put out a statement saying the union and both companies have now concluded a 9-hour hearing before the Industrial Relations Board. Here's some of what their quote says. It says the Teamsters argued the federal labor minister does not have absolute power to end job action. Our union also argued that the minister's directive violated the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms by denying workers the right to strike and collectively bargain. Now, they go on to say that they will fully abide by any decision from the Industrial Relations Board, but they are prepared to challenge it in federal court if necessary. And beyond freight rail, we know commuter trains that use those lines in Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal also affected. Locally, it's unclear when exactly the West Coast Express will run again. TransLink says services will continue to be suspended until the companies make it clear that they're allowed to resume on their tracks. Michelle.
Our Tanya Fletcher. Thanks, Tanya.
You bet.
Well, British Columbia grain producers are closely watching developments in the nationwide rail dispute. And as Susanna De Silva reports, they say the impact could soon spread beyond farmers to producers of food and beer.
The rail stoppage began hitting this logistics company hard well over a week before the trains actually stopped moving.
Working with our clients to divert their containers, look at solutions where we can move their containers away from the rail to avoid getting stuck.
But that isn't a simple process. For example, a container on a ship destined for Toronto would normally arrive in Vancouver and be put on a rail car. Now a truck has to be arranged to pick it up, a warehouse found to store it, and another truck hired to drive it across the country, with extra costs every step of the way.
The cost for transport has to come from somewhere, and the cost will ultimately trickle down to consumers.
And the expense is going up every day. What was $6,000 to $7,000 to truck it from Vancouver to Toronto, he says is now closer to 10.
The big guys may be able to truck this stuff in or fly it in, but it's not good for the small grocery stores.
Many consumer groups say the dispute will need to drag on a few more days before store shelves will start feeling emptier. But the question is the long-term effect.
They may come back with a higher price, which I'm scared of. And we're trying to keep prices as low as we can right now to just keep our customers coming back.
And uncertainty of when the rail will return to normal is adding to the challenge.
It's hard to know what to communicate because calling someone and just saying, I have no idea when you can get product is not a great phone call.
This flooring company has a shipment leaving Europe next week. They don't know if they should look at the much more expensive option of coming through the United States.
It's a huge impact financially for us, and if we have to go that route, we then have to pass that cost on to clients. Some of them may not be willing to go ahead with an order, and we may lose it altogether.
For now, all they can do is hope a resolution is found before it comes to that. Susanna De Silva, CBC News, Vancouver.